The air was thick with dread. The knights 100 strong stood in the shadow of the Mountain of Despair. Their armor gleamed, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. They had journeyed far, their numbers dwindling with each passing league. Now only the final confrontation stood between them and their desperate quest. Sir Eldred, noblest of them all, raised his hand. Silence fell upon the weary company. He looked upon his brethren, their faces drawn and pale in the fading light. "Tomorrow," he boomed, his voice echoing in the stillness. "We fight!" A cheer went up, ragged but determined. They had come too far to falter. They had lost too much to fear death. For king, for country, for glory, they would face the terror that awaited them. Dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of blood and ash. The earth rumbled. From a chasm at the mountain's peak, a monstrous silhouette emerged. The ogre. His laughter, a guttural roar, shook the very foundations of the world. He was a behemoth, towering over the landscape. Muscles rippled beneath his scarred hide. A crude club hewn from some long-fallen giant was clutched in his fist. His eyes, burning coals of hate, swept over the assembled knights. Terror threatened to consume them. But Sir Eldred, his voice ringing with defiance, rallied his men. "For our king! For our homes! For our honor! Charge!" With a thunderous roar, the knights surged forward. Their horses' hooves pounded the earth, a heartbeat of war. They were a tide of steel and fury, crashing against an unyielding cliff. The ogre roared, a sound that tore at the heavens. He swung his club with devastating force, crushing knights and horses alike, but the knights were undeterred. They fought with the courage of desperation, knowing that retreat meant oblivion. Sir Eldred, a whirlwind of steel, fought his way to the forefront. He dodged the ogre's club with inches to spare, his blade flashing. He carved a gash across the monster's arm, drawing a bellow of pain. But the ogre was too powerful. He swatted aside knights like flies. His laughter, laced with the promise of their doom, echoed across the battlefield. Hope, flickering like a candle in the wind, threatened to be extinguished. Suddenly, a horn sounded, clear, piercing, impossible to ignore. It was a sound not heard in these lands for centuries. It echoed across the battlefield, stopping both knight and ogre in their tracks. From the ranks of the knights stepped a single figure, old, yet bearing himself with an air of unyielding authority. He wore robes of purest white, and in his hand, he held a staff topped with a crystal that pulsed with an inner light. The ogre roared again, but this time it was laced with fear. The old man raised his hand, the crystal flashing brightly. "Creature of darkness," he boomed, "your reign of terror ends here!" The ogre, his eyes wide with terror, stumbled back. He had faced the might of armies and laughed, but this was something different. Something far more terrifying.